What's up guys, this is Kitchen Confidence, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make stuffed cabbages. So to make this we're going to need 1 cup of diced onions and peppers, 1 cup of sliced mushrooms, 3 tablespoons of minced garlic, half a cup of jasmine rice, 1 cabbage, 1 box of chopped and strained tomatoes, 1 tablespoon of oregano, 2 tablespoons of basil, salt and pepper to taste, and 1 pound of diced chicken. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a hot pot of boiling water, and we're going to carefully place our cabbage into that pot so we can start to blanch it. We're going to let this cook, make sure that it's submerged as much as possible and get a nice bright green color to make that cabbage nice and pliable so we can roll it. Just move the cabbage around so that it's going to be cooked nice and even all the way through so that we can go on to our next step. We're going to take the cabbage out and into the sink where I'm just letting it drain so that it's going to be as dry as possible when we go to put this together. So just drain it and let it cool and set it off to the side for now. Now heat up a pot and add some oil to that, about a tablespoon of oil. We're going to add our peppers and onions and saute that for 2 minutes. We just want to cook the onions and peppers until they're nice and translucent. They don't need to be done all the way through because it's going to be cooked again in the oven. Now add your sliced mushrooms and cook this for an additional 2 minutes. We're going to saute this together and just let those flavors start building. And these don't need to be cooked all the way through because again, we are going to put this into the oven and bake it, so don't worry about cooking this all the way through right now. Add some garlic and cook until fragrant. It's going to be about a minute, and you just want to cook the garlic a little bit before we go on to adding our chicken meat. Saute the chicken until it's cooked all the way through, season with salt and pepper, and cook this until you have a nice, thoroughly cooked chicken. We want to make sure that the chicken is cooked so that we have a thoroughly cooked product to use as our filling. Now add your rice and cook this until it absorbs the liquid from the chicken. It's going to take a few minutes, but once that's done, you're going to set this aside and let it cool so we can move on to the next step. So what we're going to do now is add our tomatoes into the pot, and we're using the strained tomatoes and the diced tomatoes. So we have that in the pot, and then we're going to add our 1 tablespoon of oregano and 2 tablespoons of basil. We're going to let this simmer for 10 minutes, just stir it up and make sure you're not going to splatter it all over the place. So we're going to season it with some salt and pepper and taste it. Always check your food, taste it to make sure you know what it's going to taste like. We'll season that and then set it aside so we can put this all together. So the first thing we're going to want to do when we put this together is we are going to want to take our cabbage and take the core out of the cabbage. Just be careful, run your knife at an angle and carefully go around and cut out the core, and you can get rid of the core after that. And we're going to start working with the individual leaves. So separate the leaves into individual leaves, and we're going to lay out the leaf and cut out the rib because that's going to help roll easier when you cut that out. We're going to take our filling and just lay it across. You don't want too much. It kind of depends on the size of the leaf, but we're going to lay that out and then fold over the end of the lettuce, tuck the sides in, and carefully, gently roll it up into a nice little package. It might take a little bit of practice, but once you get this down, you'll be able to do this really easily. Just take your time, make sure you have a nice tight roll, and you can do this until you run out of lettuce or filling. So just cut out that rib. That's going to make it easier to roll this up. Get your filling, not too much for the size of the leaf. Now fold over the end, tuck in the sides, and then just gently roll it up. A nice tight roll. So take a large baking dish, and the first thing that we're going to want to do is put down a layer of our sauce so that we have something to put the stuffed cabbages on top of, and then we're just going to cover it and coat it with the sauce afterwards. So now we're going to take our stuffed cabbages and just start lining them in the baking pan, making sure to keep it nice and tight between each of the cabbages. And once we have that lined up, what we're going to do next is get our sauce, and we're just going to sauce over the top until we have it covered almost completely. Now that we've got that done, the next step is to preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're going to cover our stuffed cabbages with foil and pop it in the oven for an hour. Again, the oven is at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and you're going to want to check it and make sure that the rice is cooked all the way through before actually serving this. Always double check and make sure that it's cooked completely through before serving. So when it's done, we're just going to take the foil off carefully, and be careful, it's going to be really hot, but you've got yourself a pan of hot stuffed cabbages ready to go. And there you go, stuffed cabbages. I hope you guys liked the video, and I'll catch you next time. And remember, kitchen confidence starts with you.